Welcome to this week's episode of Hockey Unfiltered. I am forever your sidekick, Dylan Waugh. I am the Robin to Ken's Batman, the Ned to Ken's Spider-Man, because now Spider-Man has a sidekick. Today we're talking about Preds. We're talking about Avalanche. We are talking about Norris. We are talking about some hilarious flubs, to be honest, that have happened recently. And of course, Evander Kane. So stick around. Ken, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. You kind of said, so stick around?
Yeah.
Stick around?
Yeah.
Like you ended it like somebody who ends every sentence with a question.
That's my obsessive compulsive test. That's my obsessive compulsive test, and you failed.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start off with something right off the bat here. Okay.
Yeah.
You are so much more than the sidekick.
Oh.
You really are. You really are. You built all of this stuff. You basically built the studio.
Yeah.
This is all of your nerdy stuff that you use in your garage here.
Yeah.
That
notorious jock Ken Campbell calling me a nerd.
Yeah. And I just found out that you laid down the guitar, the bass, and the drums for our intro.
I did.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Like, you're the do everything guy. You got us a sponsor.
Yeah.
I think. Did you?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So you got us a sponsor. You built the studio. You laid down the music. I would have preferred an accordion, but that's okay.
Accordion is not one of the instruments that I play.
No.
I can do violin for you.
You played drums, guitar, and bass guitar on that.
Yeah.
I thought, like, when you were asking me about music, I said, okay, well, whatever. And I just thought you poached that from something. But you did it yourself. That's freaking amazing. Like, you're so valuable to the podcast. Like, if you actually like knew stuff about hockey, you'd be invaluable.
Listen, I know that hockey is a sport played in a court of law.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, it is sometimes. It is sometimes.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of, actually, and here is the segue of all segues.
Segue of all segues, yeah.
There was a lot of interesting calls on the ice last night in the Colorado-Nashville game. Pow! Got him!
What are you talking about?
There was too many men on the ice.
Yeah,
call. In overtime.
There was two of them. There was two of them. One at the end of the game.
Exactly.
Which was legitimate.
Right.
And
the one in overtime.
One in overtime was complete garbage.
It did not look good to me.
Actually, if anybody should have been called for too many men on the ice, it should have been Nashville. If there was a team called.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that's how that game ended. Ended on a 4-on-3 power play.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that beats it being ended in a shootout, but I would have liked to have seen it decided 3-on-3. I
love the shootout.
Without, you know what? And somebody tweeted me last night, because I'm always on referees. I'm not on referees. I'm on officiating and the culture of officiating in the NHL. And somebody was like, well, more incompetence by officials. And, do you think the NHL has an officiating problem? And I was like, yes, they do.
Yeah.
But not because of that. I mean, that's a blown call. That's a missed call.
That is what it is.
I can live with that. I think everybody can live with that.
Right.
They're going to miss calls.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. And I suspect, as pissed off as Jared Bednar is, he probably is okay with it too.
Yeah.
They're human beings who make mistakes.
Yeah.
And okay. So I have no problem with that. The NHL has an officiating problem, but that's not it.
Yeah.
The NHL's officiating problem is the ignored calls.
Right.
Not the missed calls. And there's a big difference. The missed calls you don't see.
Right.
Or you get wrong. The ignored calls, you see them and you decide not to call a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was that was just so prevalent in the playoffs last year, especially like if you spent any time on Habs Twitter, the biggest one was when Perry's nose had been exploded with a ref looking right at it and no high sticking call. Now, I was of the opinion last year that Montreal did not get any more whiffed calls than any other team.
No, they don't, and no team does.
Yeah.
No team does.
Yeah, I was not of the opinion that Montreal was given a bum rap by the refs.
Yeah, particularly since they made the final because Shea Weber got away with
murder
7,463 cross checks in the playoffs.
Yeah,
without
some
getting
say that
called
count
once.
is still going today.
And I think too. Like, didn't Corey Perry's nose already blow up before that?
Not that I know of.
No, I'm just talking about his nose. That's all.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah.
There's a lot of people that want to spite his face. is the point.
Yeah, and a lot of people would have thought, yeah, he had it coming.
Listen, I would have said that before he was a Montreal Canadian, but as soon as he put on the Bleu Blanc et Rouge, that guy just, he cleaned right up. He was a pillar of the community. Now he's back to being a dirtburg.
No,
now that
he's not.
On a different
Actually, he was a great player for them.
Yeah.
And he's actually been outstanding this year.
I know.
Got 10 goals.
It's unreal.
Got 10 goals.
I didn't think he had that in him still, to be honest.
Well, he's been outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
So officiating on the ice last night is a blown call. You're okay with it?
Oh,
happens.
Yeah. It happens. It's a mistake. It's a game played by human beings and officiated by human beings who make mistakes all the time. And I have no problem with missed calls, or messed up calls. The ones I have a problem with are, like I said, the ones that they just decide not to call. Like when, who was it, got wiped out right around the net late in the game. And it was already when Nashville was already 5-on-4. They were already on the power play.
Right.
In regulation. And somebody just got totally interfered with and wiped out beside the net, and it didn't get called. That's the one. Those are the ones I have the problem with.
Right.
Not the one in overtime.
Yeah. From your Neutral Zone Crap article on January 7th, you had a section about the Nashville Predators, and you mentioned Hines finding common ground with his players such as Duchesne and Johansen.
Mm-hmm. And Forsberg. And
That's right.
Forsberg,
Yes.
yeah.
Small aside note on that. Duchesne last night had
Beast.
a heck of a game.
Beast.
Yeah, he handily handled Johnson in the boards, like in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
Was forechecking. It was in the first period, and he just skated in, knocked him off the puck.
Eric Johnson or Jack Johnson? Probably Eric.
I don't remember which Johnson it was.
It was probably Eric.
Skated in, offensive zone, knocked him off the puck, grabbed the puck, clean possession.
Yeah.
More offensive zone play. It was incredible. And of course, for a guy that's been maligned throughout his career for being a little bit of a perimeter player, it was a gutsy play. He dug in last night.
Yeah. You could tell he was all in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because he was playing his old team or because it was a really, really big game in that division.
Yeah.
Probably a couple of those things, but he was outstanding. And he's been that a lot this year. And so is Ryan Johansen.
Yeah.
And Philip Forsberg, to me, the biggest difference between Philip Forsberg this year and Philip Forsberg from the last couple of years where he hasn't been as good is he's playing a power game now.
Right.
And he's always had the skill. So what it looks to me is he's doing is he's using that power to get into the scoring area. Mm-hmm. And then once he's in the scoring area, he uses his skill.
Right.
So it's a combination of those two attributes that he has that I think has made him so effective this year.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a conversation that John Hines had with these players.
He had more than one.
Well, I would imagine it doesn't take place over one coffee. I mean,
no, it doesn't.
The conception of this podcast didn't take place. Hey,
how's it going, Ryan? You sucked the last 3 years. Can you be better? Can you give me more ice time? No, I'm not giving you more ice time until you're better. I can't be better without more ice time.
Ooh, a paradox. That's an Emo Phillips reference if anybody's a fan of classic stand-up comedy.
Emo Phillips? Never heard of the bum.
Oh, he's a comedian. He goes, police officer pulled him over and says, "You have the right to remain silent. Do you wish to exercise that right?" And he thought, ooh, a paradox. Anyways. Onward and forward. You mentioned that there's a conversation. Do you think that conversation was strengthened by the play of UC Saros last year? Because he was a Vezina candidate really last year.
Oh, and he has won this year.
He has won this year, absolutely.
If not the winner.
Do you think so?
He's close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been good.
Yeah.
They've given up 40 shots in each of his last 4 starts.
Yeah.
40 plus shots.
Yeah.
And all he does is stop them, and all they do is win.
Yeah, I mean, there's no two ways about that.
Yeah. No,
right.
he's at the very least a finalist right here, right now, as we're sitting here.
Yeah.
He's top 3 goalie in the NHL, no question.
Yeah, I do. But anyways, going back to the question about
do I think that? No, I don't. I think that he was, I mean, the constants going into this season for the Nashville Predators were that Roman Josi was going to do Roman Josi things, right? And UC Saros was going to be good.
Right.
Beyond that, we had no idea what they were doing and how they were going to do. Since then, Roman Josi has continued to do Roman Josi things. Yeah. Last night, that hold my beer thing between him and Cale Makar.
Oh, that was a funny tweet too.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, hey, it was like almost like Roman Josi was saying, hey, Cale, watch this. And then Cale goes, hey, Roman, watch this. And then Roman says, hey, Cale. Like, it was just, it was
playing
ridiculous.
A game of horse.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyways, Roman Josi continues to do Roman Josi things. UC Saros has been as good or better than he was last year.
Yeah.
The difference now is they've got a possible Calder finalist.
Right.
They've got a possible Jack Adams finalist. They've got a possible Norris finalist. They've got a possible Vezina finalist. In fact, they've got 3 of those. They are finalists. I think John Hines, right now, if the season were to end, would be a finalist for Coach of the Year. Roman Josi would be a finalist for the Norris, and UC Saros would be a finalist for the Vezina. And Tanner Jeannot, I'm not sure if he'd be a finalist for the Calder, but he'd get votes.
Right.
So the difference in all of this, and the thing that swung it the other way, has been the play of their forwards.
Right.
And now we're sitting here talking about Nashville being a dangerously offensive team.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
David Poile went out and got Matt Duchene because he thought Matt Duchene could be their number 1 center.
Right.
He went out and got Ryan Johansen, traded Seth Jones.
Yeah.
To get Ryan Johansen because he thought Ryan Johansen could be a number 1 center. Mm-hmm. He was wrong on both. For a long time, he was wrong on both.
Yeah.
And he's kind of still wrong because Matt Duchene's a right winger, mostly.
Wing. Yeah.
And Michael Granlund is basically their number 1 center.
Yeah.
And now Johansen is playing in the number 2 spot with Jeannot and Tolvanen, I think, or something.
Right.
So, now you've got a situation where they've got like 2 or 3 dangerous lines, and these guys are engaged. They're getting the ice time they want. They've come to an agreement with John Hines, and John Hines was very frank about it. Like, he was I thought he was really, really like honest about it. And he basically said, look, you're telling me you need the ice time. I'm telling you this is what I need. I'm telling you that when I put you out there, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling your ice time. You're not going on the first power play all the time anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Alexander Carrier's is playing the bumper on their power play.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So anyways, so he was very frank with them. And it was the old chicken and the egg thing. Like, the player says, well, I need this in terms of I need this much ice and these line mates. And the coach saying, well, yeah, but in order for me to give that to you, you got to do something when I give it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically what John Hines did was he basically started with a clean slate in training camp. Yeah. He said, let's go into training camp. I'm going to give you guys what you tell me you need. Mm-hmm. And if you respond positively, then we're good. Yeah. And they did. And they have, to their credit. They have. Yeah. They've been lights out. Like, Ryan Johansen's been very, very good this year. Yeah. Point of game guy. Yeah. Matt Duchene's been a star in the league. Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't on the radar for the Olympics for Canada. Right. Because he was never on that 50-player list because of last year. Right. But, if you're picking the Canadian Olympic team right now, and you have a clean slate and you can pick anybody you want, I would argue Duchene's definitely a candidate.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely a candidate.
It's a conversation that wouldn't have necessarily taken place.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It did. Well, it did.
Yeah.
It did. Do we want Matt Duchene? No.
No. So if I can put on my nerd glasses for a second.
Oh, you mean the ones you wear all the time?
Yeah.
Hoo-ha!
Pow.
Hey,
For goaltenders, there's obviously no one stat, but goals saved above expected is a big one where you have an expected goals model and then how many goals, which essentially means what a league average goalie is, and then how many goals a goalie is able to save above that league average goalie based on where and how the shots are coming from. UC Saros currently, as it stands right now in all situations, is third best in the NHL behind Jack Campbell and Tristan Jarry.
Okay.
Well, you said he was a top three.
I don't understand anything that you said.
You said he was a top 3 goaltender.
There you go.
And so I'm saying yes.
Okay.
I'm saying that the stats agree with you.
Oh, okay, good.
You like being agreed with. I don't know why this is a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
You love it.
It's not a problem. I just don't. I don't get it.
Well, but
if it bettresses my argument, I like using that word.
Yeah.
Bettresses.
Yeah.
Somebody used treacly the other day in a quote. I thought,
really,
man, you don't see that every day.
No.
Anyways,
no. But it offers a lot of verisimilitude.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, if it bettresses my argument, all the better, I suppose.
Yes.
I mean, and Jack Campbell, and who was the other guy you said?
Tristan Jarry.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 others that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know that I would put Tristan Jarry,
at the beginning of the year, for the first, he was every bit as good as everybody thought.
Yeah.
And he was one of the big reasons why Pittsburgh was successful. I guess you probably give it to Jack Campbell at this point.
Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
I don't think that it's going to Jack Campbell, and here's my tinfoil hat coming on for a second, which is I think that
do you wear that and the nerd glasses at the same time?
No, I line the inside of my fedora and it goes with the rest of my hipster getup.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Listen, Jack Campbell, I think that a lot of the people voting on Vezina, it's the GMs that vote on Vezina, right?
It is.
And so, yeah, I don't know if Jack Campbell's got that that quality of being on a team that people don't expect him to perform on.
No, because but if it's the GMs, Carey Price will probably win it again. Yeah. Even if he doesn't play this year.
Yeah.
They all think he's great, right? And people talk about how sometimes the writers get it really wrong, and we do.
Yeah.
We do. Like the year some people voted for Alex Ovechkin as a right winger and a left winger for the All-Star team, and he ended up making it at both positions. Yeah. Writers had to take the L on that one. Yeah. I get it. But you know what? I'm going to sit here and I am going to defend myself and my colleagues to the death on this one. Most of the time we get it right.
Well, I'm hoping it doesn't come to that.
Most of the time we get it right. And I think the GMs, their record on the Vezina is not as great as ours, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely argue that the year that Price got his Vezina was not his best year.
Yeah.
And the 2 years later, he got another nomination and he had a bad year.
Yeah.
He had a bad year. And Marc-Andre Fleury getting the Vezina last year was a travesty.
You think it was a travesty?
I think it was a travesty.
Yeah. I don't even remember what happened last year. Why do you think that? Just
he wouldn't have been in my top 3 conversation.
Who was your top, who were your guys?
Boy,
I don't know. I guess you have to look at goals expected over goals saved over expected percentages divided by high danger chances times goals per 60. Is that what you have to do?
You do get it.
No, I don't. Every one of those drawings, every one of those diagrams that those guys do, they look like an X-ray bearing really bad news. Like they do.
I have trouble with the graphs.
Like I don't want my ultrasound to look like that because it looks like I have cancer. Like
I have trouble with the graphs because I feel like when
they do the lines like everywhere and you're what the hell?
Yeah, like when you create a graph, you now not only need me to learn the theory behind the stat that you're using or the analytic that you're using, you now need me to learn how to read the graph.
Right.
And my brain works on learning one thing and not two things.
Okay.
But I did look it up because I knew that I was just going to forget names. Vasilevsky would be my
okay.
There. Was that nerdy enough for you?
Oh, no.
And he was third on the goals saved above expected list.
Yeah.
Behind UC Saros.
Divided by high danger chances times goals per 60.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But behind UC Saros and Semyon Varlamov.
Okay.
So, yes, I would have had Vasilevsky as my Vezina if I was a GM.
Okay.
Which that would be the one thing that I would do right as a GM would be vote for the Vezina.
That'd be it.
That would be it. Yeah, nothing else. Boy, this guy really doesn't seem to know what he's... Oh, but that's a good Vezina vote. So you wrote an article, Logan Mailloux ready to return to the ice on January 6th. I think that the article was released on January 6th. You mentioned that his drafting by the Montreal Canadiens contributed to costing people their jobs. I joke about you being hockey's outsider.
Which I am.
Which you are. But you do have a lot of inside connections. I begrudgingly... grant you. And so I'm curious as to do you know, like, how much you know, or how much is it like a thought that like how certain are you, I guess would be the question.
I'm fairly certain that Paul Wilson, the VP communications, it was a huge factor in him losing his job.
Yeah.
I mean, he hadn't been on the job very long there.
Yeah.
And he was one of Jeff Molson's, and like he was their handpicked guy to do that job.
Yeah.
And they dismissed him.
Yeah.
So somehow the messaging or the advice they got or whatever, I have to believe that was a huge aspect of him being fired.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Molson says that it wasn't something that contributed to Marc Bergevin's firing. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the reason, but I think it was a reason.
Yeah.
I think the way Trevor Timmons handled that news conference after they drafted him.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, Trevor Timmons, I mean, if you listen to every Hab fan in the history of the world, they had a laundry list of a litany of justifiable reasons for firing Trevor Timmons. Right?
Yeah.
The drafts were not good.
No.
Not good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was the reason, but I think when you look at it in totality, it was a reason.
Yeah. So you're basically saying that Wilson was kind of set up like Tom was in Succession. They elevated him to take the. Oh, you don't watch it?
No.
Oh, well. Okay, never mind.
So
then.
it doesn't. It will. Your pop culture reference will mean nothing to me. Of course, I didn't know who Kodak Black was until last night. And there's a lot of people I'm sure that are in that boat, and we're going to get to that.
I didn't know who Kodak Black was until last night.
Oh, you didn't? I asked my son. He said he knew who he was.
Yeah.
And then I showed him the clip, and my son just laughed and laughed and laughed. And he said, that's hilarious.
So let's just jump to that question since we're there anyways, right?
Already? Really? Okay.
Well, no, we're talking about it anyways. We've got a couple other topics to cover here.
Yeah.
James Tubb at Reporter Tubb asked you on Twitter, are you a Kodak Black fan?
I'm not. Because, like I said, I didn't even know who the guy was until last night.
Yep.
And so, those of you who don't know, I'm sure you do. Mr. Black. That's not his real name, by the way. Yeah.
Did you get his social insurance number to look him up? Or?
He was caught in a compromising position with another rapper, it turns out. Her name is Essence.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So anyways, I didn't know that either till I started poking around today in the internet. Anyways, he was
poking
caught.
Around was such an apt term. For
Stop it. So anywho, he was caught in a compromising position with this young lady, and it went viral. But in any event, no, I'm not a fan of his. because I don't know who he is. However, I did listen to, I looked up a bit of stuff on him. I listened to some of his music. There was one video that I watched today. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about, it was a real statement on race relations in the U.S.
Right.
The guy in the video had a hat that said "Make America Hate Again."
Oh yeah.
And he was, and Mr. Black was rapping in front of these burning crosses, and it was all about the Confederacy, and it was quite a political statement. This song. So I assume he has
heavy stuff, to say the least.
Yeah. So I assume that he has some pretty worthwhile things to say on that matter. So I'm not going to dismiss the guy completely. I wouldn't listen to his music, but it sounds like he's using his platform to get a conversation going.
Right.
However, it was interesting because Trump, apparently just before Trump left office, he pardoned this guy for some kind of weapons offense or something like that.
Really?
Granted him a pardon.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he turns around and has this video with the guy wearing the hat, "Make America Hate Again."
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what all of that means, but yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I won't be a fan. I won't be listening to his music anytime soon. But I do admire the fact that he appears to be trying to, use his platform to promote a conversation about race in the U.S.
Yeah. I checked out exactly one song. I didn't like it very much. It wasn't exactly my cup of tea. In terms of, rap or hip hop, I kind of skew a lot older school.
Right.
But so I can't say that I'm a fan of his music, but I am a fan of his ways of unwinding. Hockey and dance.
Dance. Interpretive dance.
I'm a fan of his hobbies.
Yeah.
I think, I can get behind them.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. We're going a little over the edge. You know what's funny is anybody my age or older, probably.
Yeah.
Mostly my age.
Yeah.
Their idea of rap is like, my name is Ken, I use a pen, and I write things on the computer, and I da-da-da. Like, that's their idea of rap.
Yeah. That was really good. I think that's going to be the new opening theme song. Okay. It'll just, be like, wow, I did the guitar on the last one. This is Ken's now opening theme song. Yes, he uses a pen on his computer. All right. So next article that you wrote about was on January 11th. By the way, these are all available on Hockey Unfiltered. You can just go kencampbell.substack.com. Check it out. It's, these expand a lot on what we're talking about here. And then this expands on what he's talking about there. It's a whole thing. It's an ecosystem, if you will.
It is, yeah.
It's the Ken Campbell
There's
ecosystem.
There's a lot of cross promotion and symmetry going on.
Yes.
We ideated this, and this is what we came up with.
Synergy. Yeah. Okay, just throw out corporate mumbo jumbo terms now. Yeah.
Yeah, darn right.
Yeah, I've spent so much time working in offices. I think.
Okay, here's one, and I really do have this is a question. How do we monetize this? Hey, everybody, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. The NFL playoffs are here. And with MyBookie, you can take home your biggest wins of the season thanks to their double deposit bonus. It's easy. Sign up with your MyBookie and use my promo code HockeyUnfiltered. Make your first deposit and bang, double your money instantly into your account up to $1,000. Now that you're loaded up and ready to go, it's time to place your bets with no regrets and get your wins when it matters most. If you're torn about where to place your first bet, listen up because I'm going to give you a push in the right direction. Before the playoffs kick off, wager on your pick to take home Super Bowl 56. The Packers look like obvious favorites, but you can't count out the defending champion Buccaneers. The field is wide open this year, so head to MyBookie and back your team to go all the way this postseason. Don't miss out on your double first deposit up to $1,000 by using promo code HockeyUnfiltered. Head to MyBookie, place your bets, and get ready for the unmatched intensity of playoff football. Don't forget to check out the terms and conditions on MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
So anyways, this is January 11th. Teams won't be able to help themselves when it comes to Evander Kane. You wrote a long article about just how checkered Kane's past has been. My question is this. Is there a precedent? And when I texted you this question, I said president. So
Yep.
are there presidents that have done this? Is there? I'm gambling on my own administration for when I'm going to be impeached. Is there a precedent for a player this established as one of the better players in the NHL? You know, but is there a precedent for a player this established and this talented to be essentially shunned, to a team just say, don't care, take your 30 goals and your fisticuffs and all the other, you know, things that you can add to a team and go home?
He was San Jose's best player last year.
Yeah, he was.
He was their best player. And the fact that they made it very clear that they didn't want him back in their dressing room and in their group is hugely telling.
Right.
Is there precedent? No, I don't. I'm trying to think like, you know, Sean Avery, but Sean, come on. Not even close.
Yeah.
You know, Slava Voinov is not playing hockey now because of some terrible things that he did, but that was legal and he had his contract terminated because of it, and he'll almost certainly never play in the NHL ever again because of it.
But that was a legitimate crime,
right?
That precluded him from being able to even be in the United States, or he would have been
Yeah, but I
prosecuted.
Think, he would have been prosecuted
if he were in the United States.
He would have been prosecuted. He would have done his time, and then he would have been able to play again. And,
but why do that when you can just go to the KHL?
Well, why do that when you're the Los Angeles Kings and you've got an image to keep up, right?
Yeah, but Kane was death by 1,000 cuts, which is what's so incredible about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, in his defense, none of the legal or criminal behavior that he's been accused of has been proven or has been, you know, I'm not going to go as far as to say legitimized, but
because it's notoriously difficult to prove allegations like the ones that were made against him.
Yeah, and someone has to come forth and you know, talk about those allegations in something more than the court of public opinion.
Yes.
It's got to be in a real court.
Yes.
So, I mean, he got into some drunken bar fights in Buffalo, I think. So there's been, you know, he's gone bankrupt. He's stiffed lenders. He's, you know, I mean, there's a litany of, you know, really bad behavior here. And he's clearly not the kind of guy a lot of people want in a dressing room.
Not a balanced.
Because two teams have said it. The Winnipeg Jets said it, and the San Jose Sharks said it. So we're at a spot here now where he's going to find work. So he hasn't been shunned completely.
I mean, that was kind of my question because, I don't know, it just feels like it would be nutso to hire him. But it seems that people are circling.
Yeah. Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers. Tampa Bay was.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, I can't, you know, I mean, if you're building a culture and you've got a winner and that I don't think you want to be anywhere near this guy.
But that's the opposite theory is what's in effect is that people think that if they have a good culture established, then bring him in and he won't be able to affect it. I've heard multiple different.
San Jose and Winnipeg have had some of the best team first cultures in the NHL.
Yeah.
The NHL, you know, I mean, San Jose had a room with Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, Logan Couture, you know, really stand-up guys that really towed the line and really made players aware of what they needed to do to be a San Jose Shark. Mm-hmm. And they had a culture that was probably as good or better than any other team in the league. And this guy didn't buy into it.
Yeah.
He obviously didn't buy into it. And if you can't fall into line in San Jose, then you're gonna have a tough time falling into line anywhere.
Especially because those guys weren't like they weren't robots, right? They had their personality, they had their fun.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like you're buying into a Lou Lamoriello team where you can't have a beard, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can't buy into that where it's like you're allowed to have as much personality and fun as you like, but you still have to be a team player.
Right.
That's about like that mix is about as good as I could have come up with one.
Yeah.
If I were to make a mix for
right.
team mentality and
I mean,
fun.
Winnipeg was the same. Like they're a whole sort of team first mentality. They really take good care of their players because they know that they have to, for the most part, get their players, organically. They have to draft them and develop them themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go out and sign big free agents because it's not a desired destination.
Yeah.
So they've always been like, let's get the player here. Let's sign him for a long time. Let's treat him really well. And let's create that culture.
Right.
Well, I mean, that was another place where he didn't fit in. So now he's going to find work, and it's probably going to be in Edmonton because Edmonton is desperate and they're reeling. And the thought of having a winger of that size, that ability, who can do what he does is just too much for a desperate team.
Yeah.
I personally, Ken Holland has talked about second chances and he's done it. Like he had Dan Cleary and he gave him lots of chances.
Yeah.
He had Jordan Tutu. He's had guys that have been troubled.
Right.
Mostly because of alcohol addiction, but he's had those guys.
Yeah.
I do not for 1 minute think that Ken Holland thinks that he's going to be the one that's going to succeed where everyone else failed.
Right.
And that Evander Kane's going to be this stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ken Holland is thinking, if I can get a couple of months out of this guy where he's not a distraction and he's trying to prove himself and he can help us for a couple of months here this season, then we're good. That's all I want. We need somebody to come in here and, because, on the one hand, you bring in a guy like Duncan Keith under the guise of, we need leadership, we need culture, we need accountability, we need all those other things. You bring in guys like that and you bring in the Zach Hymans of the world, right? For the same reason.
Yeah.
Well, then you pivot and you bring in this guy.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
From a culture standpoint, but they're desperate. And I knew this would happen. They can't help themselves. They just cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
And I think signing Evander Kane speaks to your culture.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about other players. There was obviously that going back to Nashville, there was that incident with Radulov.
Yeah.
And he was suspended by the team. But even then it didn't seem as much as like the team didn't want him around as much as Russian players were signing big contracts in the KHL.
Yeah.
Because that was shortly after Kovalchuk signed his big contract in the KHL.
Yeah.
It just, there was an enticing option and Radulov said, screw it, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really like a shunning. And then even when he came back to Montreal, it was in the media that Bergevin had a conversation with Weber, who said, he was a little bit immature, but he was a good guy all in all.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really as much of a issue per se. But I mean, as
I'm going to throw out a game. I'm going to throw out a name here, and it's not an equivalent, but speaking of Shea Weber, how about PK Subban in Montreal?
It's not the same thing because they got a really good player in return.
I know, but he wasn't. It was the same. There were similar personality issues. I mean, PK Subban, not comparing anything PK Subban has ever done to what Evander Kane has done, just comparing it to the situation in whether or not you want this guy around.
Yeah, no, there was clearly a level of personality to getting rid of PK Subban in Montreal. But I just think that there are people that get traded because they don't fit, or like think about Hoffman in Ottawa as another example. There are people that get traded because they don't fit, and they sometimes get value and they sometimes don't get value.
Yeah.
But to turn around and say 30 goals, don't want them.
Don't want it.
I don't even want to trade you for 10 goals.
And in fact, they were willing to trade those 30 goals and pick up salary in a trade.
Yeah.
That's how badly they wanted to trade this guy.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying, take your 30 goals and go somewhere else.
Yeah. Because Subban, I mean, Weber's a good return. You know?
Yeah, Weber was a good return. Yeah, no question.
Turns out that Montreal won that trade, which, to the shock of me as much as anybody, right? That how many good years of Weber Montreal got compared to who would have ever guessed that Subban would have fallen off the cliff that he did.
Yeah, and Montreal's in a perfect situation with Weber too.
Yeah,
because now
Nashville has all the cap recapture.
Well, no, nobody's going to have any cap recapture because he's going to go on LTIR for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
So there's no cap recapture.
Yeah. But I'm just saying there's not even a risk.
Yeah.
There's not even a risk.
And so now you're in the declining years of paying the guy, right? Like, I don't know what he's making this year and next year and the year after that, but I know by the end it's like $1 million in the last year. So you're in the declining years of paying him real money.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about that millstone of having that number on your cap.
Yeah.
Too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go to something a little bit more fun?
No. Yes.
No?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought I could have sworn you said no at first. All right. From that, we'll get into the legal nitty gritties of exactly how cap recapture works. And we do want to do the fun thing. Okay. U.S. national team.
Nice. U.S. Olympic team. Yeah.
The U.S. National Olympic Team. You had a tweet about it. I believe you have an article that will be coming out probably as people are listening to this or shortly after people listen to this.
As part of my notes, either today or tomorrow or at some point this week.
It's part of Ken's notes. So U.S. national team, they've named a number of enticing young college men into the group. And so tell us about some of the names and what your thoughts are with them.
Well, I'm first thing I want to say is I'm here for it, man. I'm here for this. This is going to be outstanding. I think it's going to be really exciting. This team might get slaughtered. But they're going to be fun to watch and they're going to be exciting. Yeah. And we talked about it before the podcast. Like, what is the most enduring memory from the 2016, was it?
Yeah.
2016 World Cash Grab of hockey.
Yeah.
What was the most enduring?
The most enduring memory was you calling it the 2016 World Cash Grab of hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm just teasing.
It was Team North America.
Yeah.
It was Team North America. I mean, Canada was Canada and they were great. And Team Europe was kind of a cool story because they made the final.
I enjoyed Team Europe.
Yeah, because of Thomas
Plekanec. Yeah.
Okay.
He just, man, he led to such a disappointing NHL year that year. Yeah. But I was just like, he showed so much offensive upside on Team Europe. And I was just, and that was that Ralph Kruger?
It was.
That coached Team Europe as well, which probably directly led to his job in Buffalo 2 years later, a year and a half later or something like that. Yeah. If you kind of, connect the lines like a crazy person on a, But obviously Team Europe was fun. Team Canada was just an obvious juggernaut. Yeah. Team USA, what were they even thinking? I think they left Phil Kesseloff. They left.
Oh, it was one of those things where they went
bring in the grinders.
Where they went all Brian Burke. Anyways, nobody cares.
Well, it's John Tortorella that was coaching it, but
nobody caars. Nobody cares about Thomas Plekanec. Nobody cares. Nobody.
I beg to differ, sir.
Okay, so anyways,
the greatest player to ever wear a turtleneck.
Yeah. Oh, Phil Esposito wore a turtleneck for a little while.
Gretzky also wore a turtleneck for a little while too.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
okay.
I was being a little facetious there, Ken.
He's in the top three. Okay.
So huge drop.
Anyways, I'm trying to think of guys who wore turtlenecks now. So the enduring image of the 2016 World Cash Grab of hockey was Team North America.
Correct.
With Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, all those great Zach Werenski. It was just crazy. And that game against Sweden was one of the best hockey games I've ever seen.
I was just about to mention the game against Sweden when it McDavid that made Carlson look foolish?
Yeah, and McKinnon scored a goal in overtime that was ridiculous. And it was just chaos the whole game, and it was great.
It's so fun.
It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I like, I mean, you don't have the same star power here, but
no,
I mean, you've got, like, by my count, there's going to be at least, and maybe more, but at least 11 college kids on this team.
Right.
At least 11. You got Matty Beniers, and Brendan Brisson from the University of Michigan. You've got Jake Sanderson from North Dakota. You've got a couple of Leaf prospects, Matthew Nyes and Nick Abruzzese. Nick Abruzzese's from Harvard. Sean Farrell, a Canadians prospect from Harvard.
Yeah.
You've got Drew Hellison. You've got Brock Faber. The Kings love this kid.
Yeah.
Defenseman Brock Faber from the University of Minnesota. You got Ben Myers, who's going to be a huge free agent this year.
Yeah.
He's in his 4th year at the University of Minnesota. He's going to be on this team. I just look at this team and, like I said, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm excited about the Olympics now. I wasn't excited about the Olympics before.
Yeah.
But now that I'm going to have a chance to see those guys, I'm going to have a chance to see Owen Power, maybe Kent Johnson for Canada. And I'm going to have a chance to see on Sweden. I'm going to have a chance to see Jesper Wallstad and William Eklund and Simon Edvinsson.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
That's what's got me excited about the Olympics now.
Yeah.
You know, not who's going to win and who's going to lose and whatever. But I'm excited to see those young guys. And I think it's going to be great. Like I said, I'm totally here for that. I'm all in.
Do you think, do you think that Canada goes a similar route with Mason McTavish and Owen Power and some of the guys, especially that acquitted themselves? Obviously, we talked about Connor Bedard in the last episode. If you haven't heard the interview of Connor Bedard, then you looking at me now should go back and listen to that because it's great. But, you know, there were some players that acquitted themselves incredibly well in the World Juniors for Team Canada that, you know, there's no reason to think that they wouldn't be able to make an Olympic jump.
Well, we talked about this for a long time last week, so I'm not gonna belabor it. But if I were running this team, you know, Caden Gooley, Owen Power, Connor Bedard, and Mason McTavish would all be on my team.
Yeah,
Cole Perfetti wouldn't, because it turns out he can't, because he's under contract to the NHL team and he's playing in the minors, and the NHL team might need to call him up.
Right.
Oh no, he's not in the minors right now. He's actually on the roster.
Yeah, he's still in junior.
He's on. No, Cole Perfetti. No, he's on he's on Winnipeg's roster right now.
Oh, pardon me. I was thinking about McTavish for some reason.
Yeah, Mason McTavish would be able to play because he is under NHL contract, but they don't have access to him, and he's playing junior. So so he would be able to go. Like all those guys would be on my team. I suspect it will just be Owen Power and Mason McTavish and maybe Kent Johnson. From another guy from the University of Michigan. And you know, just a terrific offensive player. So I mean, Canada, I think has you know, they've got the Devin Dubnyks, they've got the Eric Stahls, they've got all those guys playing overseas. Yeah. So those guys will be the guys that drive the team. But I would really like to see those young guys and see what they could do. Yeah. I mean, without that, it's just another like subpar world championship. Yeah. Right? Yeah. With those guys in the mix. Yeah. Like, I'm excited now. I'm juiced. I'm stoked. I want to see these guys.
Yeah. The last Olympics, it just was so lopsided with the athletes from Russia or whatever.
Although they almost got beat.
Yeah.
They almost lost to Germany.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. But it was hard to get excited about because it was, just seemed clear.
Yeah. But Pavel Datsyuk, you know, Ilya Kovalchuk and Slava Voinov all won a gold medal.
Yeah. Hooray. Yeah. A bunch of people that got, Russia was kicked out of the Olympics. Yeah. But then, and couldn't be in the Olympics as Russia, but then they
were the Olympic athletes from Russia. And now they are the Russian Olympic Committee, ROC. Yeah. Yes. I don't like their team too much. I don't like their team so much. No. And their goaltending, I mean, you know, last time they had Ilya Sorokin and Shesterkin. Yeah. This time they have three guys that I don't even never heard of. But how many times has Russia gone?
Bring back Brizgalov. We want the quotes. We want the quotes.
Right.
But I mean, even like if you look at the World Juniors, the two that really come to mind is Owen Power and Caden Gooley that just show that they're bloody men amongst boys.
Yeah, they were good. They were good.
No, but beyond just the fact that they were good, their bodies, their development, like they're just ready. Like,
they're ready. They're ready. And the thing that is going to be really intriguing to me is, you know, you got all these guys going from college to the Olympics. What happens after the Olympics? Do they go back? Does the NHL team sign them?
Yeah.
You know, Owen Power went back for a reason because he wants to help Michigan win a national championship and he wants to play college hockey.
Yeah.
I hope he goes back after the Olympics and the Buffalo Sabres don't get in his head and say, you know, just go straight from there and join us for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see all those guys go back.
Yeah.
And then they'll get their game or two at the end of the season and they'll blow the year off their contract anyways.
Yeah.
So they get the best of that, and then they get to finish the season in college hockey. Because if I'm Mel Pearson at the University of Michigan, I'm like, what? You're taking these guys? I'm not going to have them for 3 weeks, and then they might leave altogether?
Yeah.
Well, there goes our season. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The notoriously, you know, underpaid and overworked NCAA coaches. Couldn't help getting that little jab right in there.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, one more goalie point.
Yep.
Tuuka Rask has apparently made his triumphant return. I'm sure that all Boston fans, after having, you know, seen not him for a few months, are happy to finally have him back.
They're not, though. Boston fans are the worst. They blame him for everything.
Boston fans
like it's
are the
like,
worst.
oh, traffic's shitty. Must be Tuuka Rask's fault.
Because he's letting it all through.
Yeah, like Boston Bruin fans with Tuuka Rask, like, shame on you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how good you have it.
Yeah.
Like, you basically had a guy for the last 13 years and you had zero goaltending issues.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
Like, name me a team,
any
team in the NHL that has had no goaltending issues for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And the Bruins are the only one.
Yeah.
So anyways, they don't know what they have there and they don't appreciate him enough, I think.
I would have thought that after watching Swayman and Allmark, they would have begun to appreciate Tuuka Rask. I mean, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
I don't know. Those guys were good. That's the guy I feel most sorry for is Jeremy Swayman.
Yeah.
Because he was actually doing pretty well. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
You know, he's going back to the minors at least for probably the rest of this year, unless one of those guys gets hurt. I mean, Tuuka could blow out his hip in a week.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But Allmark's not going anywhere. He's got a no move.
Yeah.
He's there for this year and next. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So the guy they had to send down, they couldn't put him on the taxi squad even at this point.
Yeah.
Was Jeremy Swayman, who I thought was doing pretty well, and he was playing well.
So do you think that Allmark would waive his no move? I mean, he obviously signed into Boston probably wanting and expecting to be the number one goaltender, and
I don't know why.
A contender.
I don't know why he would. I mean, for that reason, he wanted to play for a contending team, and he got the no move for a reason, right?
But like, what if like Edmonton came sniffing, and he turned around and said, "Yeah, I could help Edmonton become a contender again."
You're playing for Boston though right now. You signed with them. And then you're going to turn around and go to Edmonton?
Well, it's the age-old goaltending question. Would you rather win a cup as a backup, or would you rather do well as a starter?
But I mean, no disparaging Edmonton here, but who waives their no move clause to go to Edmonton? Nobody. And this guy wouldn't. He wouldn't do it anywhere, I don't think. I think he's there. He signed that for a reason, and he's there for this year and next year, and Rask is there presumably for the rest of this year, unless he gets hurt.
To your point about how good Rask has been, I think it was the 2013 Stanley Cup playoffs where Montreal and Boston faced each other in round 2, if memory serves. And of course, that was the time where Carey Price was at the absolute peak of his career. And watching that series to me was such a treat, not just because Montreal won, but because it was so clear that...
Well, it wasn't 2013 then. Because 2013, Boston went to the final and lost to Chicago.
That's right. So then it was 2011.
No, 2011, Boston won the Stanley Cup. Keep trying. Keep trying.
Okay, hang on.
I don't know what year it was.
2014.
I don't know what year it was, but it wasn't those 2 years that you just said.
All right. My brain is notoriously bad with numbers. Okay, I think it's almost for sure 2014.
Wait a second. Aren't you a nerd? Aren't you a stats nerd? My brain is notoriously bad with numbers.
With remembering numbers.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a rote learner, as they say. All right, I'm looking it up. I don't mind. I don't mind looking it up to make sure that I get things right. Of course, this is when my internet decides to be slow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, wait around with me while we figure out What year was?
Wow, I can just hear the massive like click, click, click. I'm turning it off now.
Anyways, I think it was 2014. My point is that Price was at the peak of his abilities. And what became very clear in watching that was that as much as Price was the best goalie in the NHL, Tuuka Rask was not as far behind as second best goalie in the NHL as people would believe. He was unbelievable in that series. And it was just out of this world.
But the thing that I just keep going back to is like zero goaltending issues for like whatever, 12 years. That's unheard of.
Is hard to find.
That's unheard of. That's unheard of.
Is hard to find.
That is unheard of.
Yeah.
Zero goal. Like every year you go into the season knowing you've got a premier goalie in the NHL. He might be great. He might have an off year, you know, whatever. He might let in the odd bad goal, but you have zero goaltending issues for that long. Like, I don't think people realize what a massive, like, headache the Bruins have been saved over the last little while, because not little while, long while, because of Tuuka Rask.
Okay, so I'm going to redeem myself a little bit. It was the 2013-14 season.
No, that's 2014. Sorry, buddy.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm well aware, but I'm gonna go ahead and call it the 2013-14 season and make myself redeem at least like 20%.
That was year the Canadians went to the conference final and got beat by, and Chris Kreider ran over the said Carey Price.
Did you almost say Jose Theodore?
No, I don't know what I was saying.
You've got a Theodore poster right behind your head.
Carey Price. So. It was the said Carey Price that Chris Kreider ran over.
That's absolutely correct. That was the year.
Yep.
So before we get out of here, please like, subscribe, whatever you're listening to, just subscribe, leave a comment. That helps other people find what we're doing. Check out Ken's writing at kencampbell.substack.com. If you can, paid subscriptions are obviously preferred, and there's more content for the paid subscriptions as well. And it's, in my opinion, it's well worth it. And leave a review on this. If you can watch it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, listen to it even directly through the Substack. And if you sign up for the Substack, it'll come directly to your email address. So all good stuff.
Yep.
Ken, thank you so much. It's been a slice.
It's been fun.
All right.
4 down, hopefully hundreds to go.
Yes, our 1 month anniversary today.
Oh.
What did you get me?
You'll find out.